I have to say, I still think that nobody can do those mass moments like this cinema can. He's such a brilliant actor, and here all he has to do is like, you know, like
Be wide-eyed
and like make threats, and you know,
and by the end of it get roasted by the hero.
he must be like, I know where this is going.
Yeah. Eventually what happened while I was watching the thing, the PVR couldn't handle the decibel level at which the BGM was kicking in. So they had to come in the interval and be like, we're sorry, but our speakers can't handle the audible level at which they're presenting the movie. It should hit you bang on. I'm not trying to like tell people how to direct or stage, but I'm just saying it should have had that action hero impact.
Can you already see the comment?
Picture bana ke dikha tu. Bada aaya.
Hey everyone, you're watching The Late Take. I'm Anupama Chopra.
I'm Anmol Jamwal.
And it's been too long.
It's been too long. Yes. Much needed reunion.
Indeed, indeed. And after what a sort of full weekend of movies,
sure.
And I was watching back to back and still I couldn't manage to catch them all.
Yeah.
But I have seen Kutte, Varasa and Thuniva.
Yeah.
And you've seen more.
I've seen these movies and Veera Simha Reddy, which is the Telugu release. I couldn't catch Walter Veera, and we saw Trial by Fire.
We both saw Trial by Fire, which we will get to.
Yeah.
But let's start with the Pongal releases. You know, I was actually on an Ayurvedic detox, so I came back on Saturday, watched Kutte, then on Sunday watched these two films back to back, and I have to say, I still think that nobody can do those mass moments like this cinema can.
Yeah.
But those films were just very long.
Yeah, it's 2 hours and 50 minutes plus. I do agree with the celebration of the star and the almost event-like treatment these movies have. The show started 1 a.m. and you know, it is a fest like in terms of what day one's like. I have to say for both the films, I loved both of them. I loved Ajit Kumar.
They were fab. How cool is he?
You know, what was, I think the thing that bummed me out the most with his previous release with H. Vinod, which was Valimai, was that it was a very mundane plot and almost his character also wasn't very lively, was very straight edged. It's almost as if he's like, have as much fun as possible in this one. So it was so good to see him have a ball and you know, almost infused with comedy in every scene.
Yeah.
And I felt the same for Vijay, which I felt like he was almost given free rein to do as much physical comedy, be as expressive as possible, because Beast, he was extremely stiff, almost like monosyllabic, barely having dialogues. And I thought both of them were great. For me, the plots of both the films, I couldn't get invested to the storylines. I get that, you know, these movies are meant to be the celebration of the stars more than anything else. But from a storytelling perspective, I thought Thunivu, if we start with that, I thought it was haphazardly edited, or it almost like made me think that it's almost incoherent sometimes.
Yeah. I was like, there was one scene in which the camera just keeps circling him, and after a while I was like, okay, I'm getting dizzy. This needs to stop.
Okay. You know, for me, that still worked as a set piece.
Sure.
For me, what was, I guess, the most incoherent was when you do a montage of his origin story. So you go to Thailand, you dance on Chilla Chilla, and it's all happening at the same time. So for me, actually that was the most interesting part of who is this guy? What is his motive?
Dark Devil.
The Dark Devil.
I love it.
And I mean, that's just a snippet of it, and we didn't explore it, that's different. But I feel like a lot of it, which could have been compelling, wasn't explored, and we were just like one set piece after the other, and it kind of got repetitive. And for me, the editing especially just like threw me off.
Yeah.
Everything's fast, everything's sped up, and I get even the social cause of it, because every time, like at least with the Valimai and this movie, there's a social cause, right? So you have to do a backstory, one individual who gets wronged by the system, but all of it like seemed generic to me.
Yeah. I think it's just, you've got two really sort of actual stars. You know, they're stars. They're so charismatic. What they're doing, what they're saying, the way they move. It's like you can't look at anything else. I just feel like it's just beyond a point. The fan servicing gets in the way.
Yeah, takes over the storytelling.
It takes over the storytelling, and maybe, I don't know, maybe that works in Tamil Nadu. But for me, I was like, but give us more, because you've got such a brilliant man at the center of it.
You know, ma'am, I was reading the comments after the review, and a lot of people are talking about how there is a great balance in their filmography as well, where there has been fan service while the storytelling's been paramount as well.
Yeah.
Even when I look at Vijay and Atlee's collaborations, I had a ball watching Marceline. I
love Biggle.
Biggle.
Yeah, I love Master too. I really enjoyed it.
So there is still something compelling that can be drawn out of them rather than just celebrating them.
Yeah.
And I feel like that was missing in both films. But if we can speak about Varasa, because we have grown up with Hindi films, I couldn't get away from having seeing such similar themes as K3G in
of
it.
Course, of
the
course.
mother, son, the father.
It is the family saga.
Fully.
Of course.
But I felt like what could have been so interesting in terms of the reunion and how this family forms together, I think the solutions were rather abrupt and kind of gave me
bizarre.
whiplash as well.
How did we go into human trafficking all of a sudden?
Oh, yeah.
It was just like it was almost, I mean, you're too young, but way back, there was a film called Bawarchi with Rajesh Khanna, in which he's an actual Bawarchi who comes and solves all the issues of this family. So it was literally like, of course, here he's part of the family, but he's the prodigal son who returns and solves everything. But the problems they're having is not just the mining. Then it suddenly goes into like human trafficking,
cheating,
infidelity.
Yeah.
I mean, and it was really interesting. I don't know if you noticed it, Anmol, but in both films, there's like umpteen close-ups of Rolls Royces.
Oh yes.
Okay, I'm like, is this a Rolls Royce ad? Especially Varasa, because everyone's getting out of a Rolls Royce, and they're zooming into the of course the iconic
brand.
symbol.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, it was just very funny. But I think if Varasa had been shorter, if they'd done fewer, I mean, poor Rashmika Mandanna was just reduced to the two songs or the three songs, and I feel like if some of that wasn't there, it could have held together tighter, even as an emotional drama.
I agree.
Because the father-son moments, the mother-son moments, they were actually moving.
I thought Jaya Sudha was brilliant.
She's
by the way,
lovely.
as the mother,
and her saris and all.
Oh,
I don't know if you noticed that.
I didn't.
But those saris were out of the world.
Yeah.
Yes.
And you know, for me, a lot of people criticize the template, but the template works for a reason. If it's done with conviction, it'll emotionally resonate with you. And I thought, as I say, that it was great to see Vijay be in comedic sequences. I loved him with Yogi Babu. I loved him with his mother. But a lot of the elements just didn't shape up in the end of it when it becomes the one versus many action sequences and say the trafficking subplot. It sort of takes away from what made it so special initially.
Correct, correct. Absolutely. I just feel like if it had been scripted better, though I think the script is, at least it's emotionally resonant, which Thuniva is not at all.
No, it isn't. It isn't. Thuniva is like one action set piece after the other, and I feel like I don't even think they attempted it to be emotionally.
No. It was all scale and boats and bombs and fighting. But it's interesting for me that how much bloodshed there was and how many people died in Thuniva, but in Varasa, there's no blood.
There's no blood. Yeah,
He's just beating up people, but like there's actually, you don't see blood at all. So it was very family.
It is.
It was very family violence.
Cookie cutter, sort of like, we're going to Disneyfy this, the violence.
It was totally Disneyfied.
Yeah.
It was totally Disneyfied.
But it's crazy on how many movies Prakash Raj does, right? He's almost in every movie.
He's in every movie, like Kumud Mishra is in every movie in the north, and he's brilliant. I don't think there's any movie he makes worse. He's just superb. Neither does Prakash Raj. Though Prakash Raj can get very florid. Poor guy. I mean, he's such a brilliant actor. And here all he has to do is like,
be wide-eyed
and like make threats and
And by the end of it, get roasted by the hero.
He must be like, I know where this is going.
Yeah.
Now, speaking of violence,
Yes.
you liked Kutte more than I did.
I enjoyed it. I do agree that, okay, my criticism of the film was that this genre deserves a little more spunky, zany characters, and I felt like that was missing in Kutte, which was prevalent in Kamine.
Yes,
Okay, it was
yes.
like one interesting character after the other, and for me, especially, I think the biggest criticism that I had for Kutte was that it wasn't as funny as this genre leads to sort of like circumstances which are just laugh out loud moments. I didn't experience that as often, and I'm a huge fan of the Guy Ritchie filmography, and this is a genre that I really look forward to. For me, why it worked especially was because I think one, there's a dearth of people attempting this genre. Two, I found Tabu to be in her element so much. By the end of it, I was very invested in what transpires. So for me, I loved the action. I loved the grimy sort of portrayal of Bombay and where the deals are being done and what eventually led to this face-off eventually. So for me, I was, for the 1 hour and 52-minute ride that it was, I was like, okay, this is fun, but I wasn't blown away.
Yeah.
So I was in that sort of area where I wasn't like, oh my God, this is amazing. But I was like, okay, for what they wanted to attempt, it's a fun ride.
Yeah.
That's where I was.
Yeah, no, I really wanted to love it,
Yeah.
but I was very underwhelmed. And
Okay.
it's precisely that. See, these are not obviously films where there's any emotional connect. There's no one here you're rooting for. It's just all badass people doing awful things to each other. And like you said, the joy and the deliciousness of it is if the characters are interesting enough. And here, for me, really, Tabu was perhaps the one very interesting one.
Yeah.
Kumud Mishra, I thought, also had his moments. You know, I was surprised at how well Arjun held his own against this formidable cast.
Yeah.
He didn't feel completely out of place.
I agree.
You know,
But
they should have written something more meaty.
I agree. When you're sort of integrating a quirk, say, where he is
Doing puja.
puja
Correct.
and Mangalvar mein vrat hai and all
Correct.
of that.
And he's a killer.
Yeah, so that can be extrapolated so much more, over the period of the screenplay. And I feel like eventually he just became a soldier.
That's right.
The particular quirks didn't even really matter then. And I agree, Kumud Mishra and Tabu were probably like the best
They were the
parts of the
best,
thing.
yeah.
And you're talking about, say, it's not really attempting to be emotionally deep. But for me, why Kamine also worked for me was because of that relationship. And say with Shardul and Radhika, I wasn't as invested in their journey as I was with them.
Yeah. It was all too convenient.
Yeah.
It was all, and none of the characters were interesting enough. It was just, and even though the running time is fairly economical, beyond a point I was just like, okay, they're not enjoyable company.
Okay,
And in a film like this, they need to be like really quirky and really kind of dark, and which is what Kamine did, which is what Vishal did with like the Amol Gupta character, with the two Shahids, with of course the music, which a bit of which is reprised here. But I felt like, of course, Asman is, working in that same.
Yeah, the same zone.
Same zone,
Yeah,
right? It's
yeah.
the same zone, but I just felt like none of them were as sort of just meaty as they should have been.
For me, I feel like the set pieces really made up for it when, especially say the way he shot, the way the particular truck gets stopped, and then there's an entire long shot which he's edited really well. So those set pieces in itself leading to sort of like a confusion, for me worked really well individually. I get it that from a screenplay perspective, probably it didn't like fully hold together.
Yeah.
My biggest, gripe was that the analogy. It took me back to Darling straight away, and I was like,
the scorpion and the frog that needs to be rested now for a while.
Exactly. And the moment Tabu was also telling the joke, I was like, had I not seen Darlings, I probably would have like connected with this.
More.
But now it's just the same thing again and again. And I felt the climax it's so beautiful in terms of how they present it, but it was staged so poorly. If you remember, it should hit you bang on. I'm not trying to like tell people how to direct or stage, but I'm just saying it should have had that action hero impact.
Can you already see the comment?
Picture bana ke dikha tu. Bada aaya. But
no, it should have impact. I completely agree, and it didn't. Though I mean, if there are ever, if there's a world in which there's spin-offs, I think Tabu could do with her own.
Oh, 100%.
She was fab.
100%.
And as she always is. But I have to tell you, I really thought it's one of the few times that Konkona did, her tonality was just off. It was so over the top.
I thought that entire Naxal group thing only just didn't flesh out properly.
It felt like some amateurish stage play where suddenly the Naxal group comes and just to keep the plot moving. So would you agree with me that the best thing we've actually seen last week is Trial by Fire, which is on Netflix?
I agree, but before we get there,
yes,
I have to tell you about a movie that I saw. It's the big Sankranti release called Veera Simha Reddy. Okay, I'm telling you because you need to be a part of the culture. Okay,
of course,
of what this Sankranti release represents. There are no rules. Okay, and you might be hesitant initially of like, what is happening? This is all so bizarre. I mean, Nandamuri Balakrishna is playing like the person that you depend on in the village. He does everything. He helps the poor, he has all the money in the world, and he is always selfless. Okay,
he's a good rich person.
Good rich person. So the perfect hero, right? And he's got a son, a 31-year-old who's in Turkey, played by Nandamuri Balakrishna. Okay, so
I love it.
It's so there are no rules, and eventually what happens is that
so have they de-aged him for the
no. He's just with black hair,
okay,
and he's a little more with Hrithik Roshan's white hair.
Indeed, right.
So that's all that's needed
because
for you to be convinced.
Because 60 is the new 40, right?
100%.
Right.
And even the wife and the mother is played by Honey Rose, who's a Malayalam actor. She's 30, so she's playing both the mother and the wife. So it's, again, no rules. But what I'm saying is, eventually what happened while I was watching the thing, the PVR couldn't handle the decibel level at which the BGM was kicking in. So they had to come in the interval and be like, we're sorry, but our speakers can't handle the audible level at which they're presenting the movie. So that was one. And
what did they do? Then they just
So they just put it down a bit, but it was still like blasting in your ear. But that's what you go in for.
Right, sure.
Again, that's the culture you have to understand.
Correct.
And eventually I realized that it's the same tropes of like a brother-sister narrative. There's some heartbreak, it doesn't matter. Okay,
right,
by the end of it,
it's a star vehicle.
It's a star vehicle. He gets brutally wounded, but he still has time for a cigar while he's brutally wounded, and he folds his legs like that. So in that way, like, he'll be frustrated at one point, and the wife will be like, "Arey, let's go over there." And an item song starts, and he'll like bounce his cigarette off a girl's bosoms and just be like, so that's the pitch of the film, okay? And by the end of it, you're tired,
right?
But you're still compelled to understand how it's the biggest opener of 2023.
It's a phenomenon, right?
So it is a phenomenon, and I feel like at one point of time, I was contemplating what am I really doing in life.
It's called an existential crisis. I've had many.
But I have to tell you, the craziest part of the story is, okay, fan service, Balaya has like all these Telugu pride dialogues, so you know what the audience is. It's all catered to the audience. He almost breaks the fourth wall and tells them to chant his name also at one point. He's like, Jai Balaya, and then he's like, my fans say one thing, and he points, and then the crowd erupts. But the craziest part is Shruti Hassan is playing his romantic interest, and how she falls in love with him is that in a crossfire, she accidentally snorts cocaine. Okay, the drugs get hit with a bullet, so the powder erupts, and then
she
inhales it, and that leads to her telling a dude, play the music. And then she does a dance number, okay?
I love it. Look at the imagination here. Look at the imagination.
And the video goes social media viral. So she's like, it's all because of you. And then they dance in a song. And they're in love.
ये
So I'm
कभी
saying,
सोचा है अनमोल?
exactly.
Yeah.
तुम बोलते रहो,
Correct. ये
criticize
पहले सोच
करते
के
रहो.
दिखाओ.
Exactly. So the point is, it's a genre. I feel like he's a genre itself.
In itself, yeah.
And
Yeah.
it was very interesting. And
Do you recommend that I partake?
Yes, because I'm on camera.
Yeah, yeah.
So I would recommend it. And
well, it's also an anthropological exercise. You need to know.
no, I have to say, it does make you aware of what's happening in each
It's
state.
a different film culture.
There's
yeah.
a reason why it's celebrated, and to understand it, I feel like it just broadens your horizons of just the kind of cinema we have
Absolutely.
in every state. It's
Absolutely.
crazy.
And why not?
Why not?
So, from that to Trial by Fire, which really just shattered me.
Yeah.
I mean, it was, oh my God.
I can't even imagine for you, ma'am, because you're a parent.
To have
it's-
children and to even just imagine that scenario is it's from the first literally from the first frame where she's it's a close-up of her lighting the fire in the kitchen and then that moment in the first episode where Abhay Deol says in a few years they'll be gone and he does this and literally you cut to them dying is just so horrifying but so beautifully done and I think Rajshri is just spectacular.
She's exceptional, ma'am.
Yeah.
And the moment I saw it, because for my parents, 90s Delhi is so vivid in their memory. Priya, Chanakyapuri, Uphaar, they were like the iconic cinemas that we would go to for movies. And I feel like it really hit home for them because they remember watching Border, they remember this being in the news. It was the talk of the town at that point of time because of how traumatic it was. And I felt both of them, Rajshri especially, Abhay also. So dependable.
A little later on,
Yeah.
when you get to like third, fourth episode, there are moments that he has which are just heartbreaking, very well directed.
For me, especially when he's sort of stumbling on the journey of what the original goal was, that was so human. And for me, ma'am, I think what resonated with me the most was processing loss and how they're overwhelmed with clerical paperwork while they're still processing, while bodies are right in front of them. Especially that Pal character who lost 7 people in that tragedy.
Horrifying.
It was horrifying.
Including a 6-month-old baby.
Oh,
it's
Lord.
Just, it was, but so well done and so, such an insight into, I think, the human spirit and what you're capable of even in immense pain. But without, the drama, like koi melodrama nahi hai. It's very downplayed. The acting is stellar. I highly recommend everyone watch Trial by Fire.
Probably one of the best Netflix shows I've seen.
I would agree.
Yeah.
I would agree. And how are you feeling about the Pathaan trailer, which I have to say I love?
I am invested, ma'am. Everybody calls me out to be a fanboy.
Me
I
too.
get it.
I tweeted about it and they were like, "Oh, check mil gaya."
No. That's regular now. For any Hindi movie release that has some hype, it's almost like, because say the big releases have not done as well in 2022, now there's almost a perception, no matter what the quality of the trailer, people want to crap on it.
Correct.
So you can be excited
But it
for
was so
it.
much fun.
No, you organically felt that.
Yeah.
You express it. That's all. Nobody should, feel compelled to criticize for the sake of it. And I feel like that's almost become the norm right now, where you can't enjoy a Hindi film.
Yeah.
Which is delivering in all aspects of what that mass film is. If Pathaan is that, why not celebrate it?
Absolutely.
And I think you're going to be the first person if it doesn't hold it all together. You're going to be the one who's going to vocalize it. So this perception that you're not going to do your job is a little
it's so foolish.
crazy. No.
I think, John is always a kick-ass villain.
I love it.
Yeah, I love it. I'm excited to see this.
And okay, no, let's not get controversial. You can cut that. Okay, but I'm invested, and I especially want the Kabirs and the Tigers to land up.
Me too.
And for me to hoot and cheer, and that's all I need.
So
also, ma'am, RRR doing so well, and
so excited.
Nothing makes me more excited.
Me too.
Yeah.
I don't know why. Again, everyone's like so eager to pull them down, pull Tarak's accent down. It's like, listen, let's just be joyous.
We're our worst enemy. I'm telling you, we can't be happy for each other for some reason.
I mean, let's
No.
applaud. They've taken
I love it.
something to the world and they're there. I'm hopeful and praying that it gets the Oscar nominations. I think it's fantastic.
I think it's fantastic, and I hope Ram and Junior NTR dance on the Oscar stage.
Oh my God.
It would be the best.
It would be the best.
Yes.
We'll show them.
Yeah.
So we will return post Pathan.
Oh, I can't wait.
I can't wait either because I just think anything that gets people back into the theatres is amazing. And I have to tell you, so Varasa I saw very early, but Thuniva I saw at like a noon show and it was packed. It was just packed in Mumbai on 15th yesterday. And I have to tell you, just the energy of it. Okay.
It's the best, ma'am.
He walked into the frame and they just exploded. And I was like, this is so much fun.
And I'm telling you, like, even when I talk about Veera Simha Reddy, I was in a packed theatre. It just changes the experience
It changes
altogether.
everything. Yeah. And why would you not want that?
Yeah.
So hopefully everybody is back in theatres for Pathan and we shall meet then.
Yes, for sure.
Thank you everyone for watching.